You know the feeling, right? You walk into an auto repair shop, drop off your car, and later you're shelling out $90 just for a routine oil and filter change. And when you look around at all those cars rolling in and out all day, well, it's incredibly easy to picture the owner just sitting back in a glass office, counting a very comfortable pile of cash. I mean, the US auto repair industry is massive. We're talking a staggering $115 billion in annual revenue across roughly 160,000 establishments. But here is the shocking reality. The average shop owner? They frequently keep just 10 to 20 cents of every single dollar that walks through the door.
So, welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving deep into the hidden anatomy of a business that absolutely everyone uses, but honestly, very few people truly understand. We're going to uncover exactly where all that money goes before it ever has a chance to reach the owner's pocket.
All right, here's our roadmap for today. 1. The auto shop wealth myth. 2. The price of admission. 3. Labor, parts, and productivity. 4. The hidden profit killers. And 5. The electric vehicle threat. Let's kick things off with Section 1. The auto shop wealth myth, shattering the illusion of the grease-stained millionaire. When you see those high prices on the service board, it's natural to assume the profit margins are just astronomical. But the harsh truth is, keeping just 10 to 20 cents on the dollar, and sometimes even less if it's a bad month, means that the visible part of the business, actually fixing the cars, that's only half the story. The invisible part, the inventory, labor efficiency, equipment depreciation, and cash flow, that's what actually determines if an owner gets rich or goes completely broke. And what's really fascinating is how much this varies depending on the specific type of shop you're running. Just look at how this ecosystem breaks down. Take a standard neighborhood garage, let's call it Dave's. Dave is serving local residents, mostly older cars, knocking out basic brakes and oil changes. Now, because his competition is literally every other garage within a 5-mile radius, his net profit margin sits at a super tight 6 to 10%. But step up to an independent multi-bay workshop doing mid-range work, and a well-run operation can push that up to 10 to 19% margins. Now, if you want to clear 20% or more, you've got to enter the specialist luxury workshop tier. These are the shops servicing high-end European brands, your Porsches, your Ferraris. Those customers aren't shopping around on price. They're shopping purely on trust and exclusivity. Moving on to Section 2, the price of admission, the invisible mountain of startup costs. So before a single customer even rolls onto your property, you have to secure a space. And in this industry, location is absolutely everything. A shop on a high-visibility road generates up to 30% more walk-in business than the exact same shop hidden away in some industrial park. But as you can guess, visibility is not cheap. In mid-market cities like Austin or Miami, commercial automotive leases are running $30 to $40 per square foot. That means a 10-bay, 3,000 square foot shop can easily cost you $90,000 to $120,000 a year just in rent. And it's not like you can just move right in. You've got to upgrade the physical space. We're talking reinforced concrete for hydraulic lifts, heavy electrical systems, industrial air compressors, and incredibly strict waste oil containment systems just to avoid massive EPA fines. And hey, the spending doesn't stop at the building. People wildly underestimate the equipment costs. A simple wrench set and a floor jack, that is not going to cut it today. The numbers are frankly staggering. Just one hydraulic lift costs between $4,000 and $15,000, and a 6-bay shop needs one for every single bay. Professional diagnostic scanners, because let's face it, modern cars are basically just computers on wheels, those are on $5,000 to $25,000 each. And if you work on late model or specialized vehicles, proprietary manufacturer tools can easily add another $10,000 to $30,000 to your tab. So add in tire changers, wheel balancers, AC service machines, and the total startup investment for a medium-sized shop hits a staggering $654,000. Think about that. You are over $500,000 in the hole before you even account for the operating capital you're going to need to keep the lights on for your first 6 months, all while desperately trying to build up a customer base. All right, Section 3, labor, parts, and productivity, the true engine of the business. At its core, a workshop generates revenue through two things: labor and parts. But there is a fatal gap here where a lot of shops just quietly bleed out. Nearly half of all American auto repair shops post a labor rate of, say, $120 to $159 an hour, right there on their wall. But that posted rate is kind of an illusion. Your effective labor rate, which is the real revenue you're actually collecting per clock hour after you account for uncharged diagnostic time, mechanics standing around waiting for parts, or doing warranty repairs, that number is always much lower. And that brings us to what is arguably the most critical metric in the whole building: technician productivity. Check this out. If a mechanic makes $30 an hour in base pay, their actual cost to the business is closer to $45 an hour once you add in payroll taxes, high-risk workers' comp insurance, health benefits, and ongoing training. Now, a well-managed shop is going to aim for 90% technician productivity, meaning 9 out of 10 clocked hours are successfully billed to a customer. But when productivity drops to, say, 70% because techs are wandering around looking for tools or waiting on a parts delivery, well, that $45 an hour mechanic is suddenly producing significantly less billable revenue per dollar spent. And guess where that gap comes from? Right out of the owner's net profit. So, how do you keep those bays full so your technicians can actually stay productive? Well, the routine oil change is basically the Trojan horse of the auto repair industry. Shops are not making their real money on an $80 oil change. They're using it as a customer retention tool. It works like this. You bring your car in, a trusted tech does a multi-point inspection, and maybe they spot some worn control arm bushings. 6 months later, boom, you're back in the shop for a high-margin $1,200 suspension job. Locking in 300 to 400 of these loyal maintenance customers provides this really reliable floor of monthly revenue that covers fixed costs, even when the economy takes a dip. Next up, Section 4, the hidden profit killers, the silent bleed on your balance sheet. Okay, so beyond rent and wages, functioning workshops bleed cash through costs that new owners routinely underestimate. For starters, you absolutely must carry Garage Keeper legal liability insurance, because if a spark hits a fuel line and burns down a shop full of customer cars, you are on the hook for hundreds of thousands of dollars. Then there's waste disposal. Pouring used motor oil or coolant down the drain can trigger EPA fines running into the tens of thousands per violation. Add in mandatory software subscriptions that can cost up to $300 per technician every single month, plus the massive cash flow killer of dead inventory, specific parts just sitting on shelves for months, depreciating. Finally, pricing your labor rate based on what the guy down the street charges rather than looking at your own actual overhead is a surefire way to go completely bankrupt while staying perfectly busy. The crazy part is how all these silent killers compound. Let's say you've got a mid-sized 6-bay shop earning a really comfortable $180,000 a year for the owner. But then you have one slow month. Or you have one major warranty comeback that requires a free engine reseal costing $4,000 in labor and parts. Suddenly, your profit margin just plummets. The difference between a good year and a bad year at a single mid-size workshop can literally be a staggering $100,000. And that swing is entirely determined by management discipline, not by how many cars in the community actually need fixing. Which brings us to Section 5, the electric vehicle threat, the paradigm shift. We'd be completely dishonest to talk about auto repair economics without bringing up the one thing that keeps pretty much every single shop owner awake at night right now, and that's the rapid rise of electric vehicles. Think about it. The entire traditional service model is built on internal combustion engines. Oil needs changing, spark plugs wear out, timing belts snap. These high-frequency failures are what anchor the service relationship and generate constant, predictable cash flow. But then, look at the electric vehicle side. No oil, no spark plugs, no timing belts. Heck, even brake wear is dramatically reduced because of regenerative braking. What EVs do require, though, is pretty terrifying to an untrained shop. Working on high-voltage battery systems demands insulated tools rated up to 1,000 volts, totally dedicated safety protocols, and really expensive formal certification. An uncertified tech risks a literally fatal electrical injury. Shops that are ignoring this are just betting that the transition's going to be super slow, but well, history rarely favors that kind of bet. So the barrier to entry in this industry is climbing every single year. Equipment costs are up, technology is evolving wildly, and regulatory environments are just growing stricter. And yet, the core demand remains incredibly reliable. I mean, the average age of a vehicle on American roads right now is higher than at any point in recorded history. So that $115 billion, it is absolutely still out there for the taking. But the workshops that actually survive and thrive over the next decade won't necessarily be run by the most skilled mechanics. They are going to be run by the best business operators. We're talking about the owners who track daily efficiency, the ones who manage their inventory flawlessly, and the ones who adapt to EVs before they're forced to. It's a deeply complex operational enterprise. So I want to leave you with this final crucial question. Knowing that surviving in this massive industry isn't about simply turning wrenches anymore, do you have what it takes to be a master business operator?